When you think of Argentine Tango, what comes to mind? Probably those close embraces, the passionate music, this really deep connection on the dance floor. It's so romantic, it's beautiful, but like any close-knit world, it can hide a darker reality just under the surface, and that's exactly what we're going to uncover today.
So there's this saying you'll hear all the time in the tango world: you dance who you are. The idea is that the way you move, the way you connect in that embrace, it reveals your true self. But what does that really mean? What if someone's dance doesn't just reveal passion, but maybe something dangerous?
The thing is, every community, no matter how wonderful, is still a reflection of the wider world. And that means on any given night, a predator could be hiding right there in plain sight. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden threat. Okay, so first things first, we need to put a name to this threat. In some circles, this kind of predator is known as the Tango Vulture. Now, it is super important to get this straight. Tango Vulture isn't one specific person. It's a placeholder. It's a term for a pattern of behavior. We're talking about someone who weaponizes the very things that make tango beautiful: the intimacy, the social rules, to control, manipulate, and ultimately harm other dancers. So how does a predator pick their target? Well, it's not random. Not at all. They're scanning the room and they are actively looking for a very specific quality. They're searching for vulnerability.
And vulnerability, well, it can look like a lot of different things. It might be a newcomer who just doesn't know the norms yet. It could be someone with a past history of trauma, or just a dancer who's in a fragile emotional state. But here's the crucial point. This is never, ever about a character flaw in the victim. It's about a predator spotting someone who, for whatever reason, might not have the resources or the support system to fight back.
Okay, so once a target is in their sights, the Tango Vulture doesn't just improvise. They have a playbook. It's a predictable, almost scripted pattern of behavior that psychologists have identified for decades. So let's break down how it works. So this is the classic textbook cycle of abuse. It kicks off with this intense period of affection called love bombing. Then tension starts to build. The mask slips. That's followed by some kind of abusive incident. And right after, you get apologies and reconciliation to keep the victim hooked. Then comes the calm phase, where they try to minimize what happened. And if the victim tries to leave, that's when the Hoover kicks in to suck them right back. The whole pattern is designed to confuse you and trap. Okay, but what does this actually look like at a Milonga? Let's translate this. Love bombing isn't necessarily fancy gifts. It's dancing multiple tandas in a row with you, making you feel like you're the only person in the room. And the violence? It might not be a punch. It could be abandoning you on the floor mid-song or using the embrace to physically hurt or control you. And that Hoover, it's that persistent cabeceo, that little nod from across the room long after you've made it clear you want nothing to do with them.
So this is the big question, right? Why would anyone stay in a situation like this? Well, a huge reason is a psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement. It's literally the same thing that makes slot machines so addictive. You get a reward, a great dance, a kind word, but at totally unpredictable times. It keeps you hanging on through all the bad stuff, just hoping for that next little hit of kindness. It's a powerful chemical hook in your brain.
All right, we've covered the what and the how, but that leaves the big nagging question, why? I mean, what on earth drives someone to behave this way? The reasons are pretty complex, but they usually boil down to one of three things. First, it can be a really twisted way of getting attachment needs met, where control actually feels like connection to them. Second, there's this disturbing thing called inverted social reward, where their brain is literally wired to release feel-good chemicals from inflicting pain, not from being kind. And finally, sometimes it's just a raw, corrosive desire for power and control, driven by anything from low self-esteem to money. Okay, understanding all of this is, well, it's a lot. But just knowing about the predator isn't enough. We need to talk about protecting yourself. So let's shift gears from investigation to empowerment. This is your field guide to self-defense on the dance floor. Strategy number 1, and this is maybe the most important, listen. Predators burn through people, and they leave a trail of evidence. The established dancers, the teachers in your community, they have seen it all before. So if 3 or more trusted people quietly warn you about the same person, that's not gossip. That's data, and you need to pay attention to it. All right, strategy 2 is super simple, but it's incredibly effective. Just slow down. Predators thrive on speed. They rush everything, dance partnerships, romantic relationships, to get you hooked before you have a chance to see the red flags. So you have to be the one to pump the brakes. Give it at least 3 months to get to know any new dance partner.
Anyone who pressures you to commit faster is a giant red flag all by themselves.
Okay, next up, you have to become a great observer. A predator can put on a charming mask and say all the right things, but their true nature will always, and I mean always, come out in their dance.
And here we are, right back where we started. You dance who you are. This is where that little phrase becomes your most powerful diagnostic tool. In the embrace, are they rigid? Do they push or pull you around, totally ignoring the connection? Is their embrace just vacant, like there's no one home? These aren't just technical mistakes, they are huge physical and emotional warnings. This next one is all about a reality check. It's so easy to get swept up in the fantasy and romance of it all, but you have to remember that the tango world is a microcosm of the real world. It has absolutely wonderful, safe people, and it has unsafe ones. Just acknowledging that simple fact is a powerful shield.
This leads us right to what is, without a doubt, a predator's kryptonite, your boundaries. They absolutely depend on you not having any or not being willing to enforce them. So, before you even step on the dance floor, you need to ask yourself this question. What is my no? What am I not willing to tolerate? Know it and own it. And finally, the last strategy, and maybe the most powerful of all, ask for help. Predators count on their victim's silence. That's their biggest weapon. So breaking that silence by telling a trusted teacher, a community leader, or a friend, that's a profound act of power. And look, if you find you're in these situations over and over, getting help from a therapist isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of incredible strength. You know, at the end of the day, all these individual strategies are crucial, but they're only half the battle. The much bigger question is about the community itself. So the next time you're at a Milonga, I want you to look around and ask yourself, is this a safe place to dance? And maybe more importantly, what am I doing to make sure the answer to that question is always, always yes?